For today's cup of coffee, we have an update on me mother. She had the surgery today. Everything went well, and we're just very thankful.
Yeah.
And thank you all who took a moment to say a prayer for her or wish her well.
Keep those prayers going, because she is in recovery now.
Yeah.
And she wanted to fight, even though she was wheezing. She wanted to fight us as far as taking her inhaler.
Yeah, somebody that has asthma going, I don't want the inhaler. I don't.
If you need it, fucking use it.
I don't understand, and it's like I'm fighting.
If I need an inhaler, and I probably do, I would be like, I'd be huffing that shit left and right.
I don't know. It's people, that's all I can say. And having to drive in the traffic and people doing the distracted driving. And at one point we saw where someone, for whatever reason, there was a random bumper laying on the side of the road.
You lost your ass.
And it's just like, oh God, this is why I stay in the house. It really is.
I mean, that's just normal driving. I don't care personally.
I'm just so over it where we had to drive so much for so long. And I'm like, no, between me and the porch, and the coffee pot, I'm good.
That's why I should drive.
Now, we've already discussed the fact that I have severe anxiety issues, right?
You put you in the back seat with some headphones on. There you go.
Oh, hell no. He put me in the back seat with the volume or something. But it was a matter of getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, because I'm not usually one of these people that can just jump out of bed and be ready to go. Mm-hmm. And so it was a matter, I had to give myself time to drink coffee. For real.
I had a rough night. I had a really rough night last night.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of that, we were just anxious about the situation today. And so it doesn't bode well for the sleeping.
That and my head hurt.
Yeah, we're working on a plan for him to see different healthcare provider that will actually do something.
You know what's funny? You were going to bed, or you were just getting up. That's when I finally went to sleep.
Lovely.
And I did fine today.
He was asleep in the back seat, and that was fine.
That was this morning. That was on the drive. That was on the way there.
Right. So, it is all right. But anyhow, thank you for the prayers. And today we
Continue praying, that would be appreciated.
Yeah, please do, because post-op is not,
Yes.
And then
we appreciate them, we really do.
They're going to wait 2 weeks before they start physical therapy with her.
Okay, that gives us some time to clean her house.
But, it's one of those things that as people age, they don't always heal as quickly, and because this was pretty massive for her, and but some places when I had researched about the shoulder replacement, she'll now set off metal detectors, even though it was plate and pins, but in some places they start physical therapy the next day, and I'm like, damn, that's kind of rough.
Yeah,
but hopefully these people know what they're doing. Sometimes I wonder.
Personally, if I had an injury like that and I had to have surgery, I would not want a single person to touch me the next day.
Right. It's like, leave me alone.
It's like, no, let me sit here.
Right. Right. So I'm hoping that she will heal quickly and well.
Yeah.
Our story today comes from Mysterious Universe and Mr. Paul Seaburn, but he wasn't too asshole about this. He was asshole in the appropriate places, so that's acceptable.
I still don't like the man.
And he's no Brent Swatzer, but who is?
Did I say that I like Brent Swatzer?
I have a soft spot in my heart for Brent Swatzer.
You like him
really
because
do.
He basically writes it like it's a piece of poetry.
Well, he does, but now he's doing better. Honestly, somebody must have spoken to him. He's not a bad writer. He's really not. He just
his writing style was for different books, not that.
Well, it's just, this is more in a news article thing. And that's what helps me, to read that, if it's news type.
Right.
And his was meant to be read, not necessarily orated. It just silently read. Anyhow, this article was written May 31st, 2022, and is entitled, Pentagon Says It Doesn't Have Killer Robots, So Stop Asking. Wink, wink. Yeah.
Fucking robots.
Yeah, and so the article, the link will be in the description box, by the way. Now that you've had time to process the revelations of the latest Pentagon report on UAPs/UFOs during a U.S. congressional hearing, do you trust the Pentagon more or less? These are rhetorical questions. Do you believe it's hiding far more than it's revealing? Well, get ready to reevaluate your answers as the U.S. military's top expert on artificial intelligence, AI, recently gave his own report on AI and national security and made this remark on whether the military has killer AI robots. A remark which sounds a lot like the AI equivalent of none of the UAPs we've investigated are extraterrestrial.
Now, remind me what a UAP is.
It is an unidentified aerial phenomena.
I like UFO better.
I like UFO better, too. It says that two remarks which might be more appropriate with a wink, wink at the end. Marine Corps Lieutenant General Michael Groen, director of the Joint Artificial Intelligence Center. Oh, and I have decided, make up your own language. When I absolutely, totally screw up a word, insert your own, make up your own. So, there we go. Recently gave the closing keynote address to the Atlantic Council's event and stated, quote, inside the department, clearly there's a question about what is AI for, and although there are conversations about killer robots and all the rest, I think the reality is much more mundane. We've spent a lot of time in education to help people understand that just like an automobile extends your capabilities in the physical domain, artificial intelligence extends your abilities within the data domain and the information domain, end quote.
Loves it.
And so it says that during that event, according to, I've tried to find if there was a pronunciation for this, could not find it, C4ISRNET.com, which is a media site for intelligence age military. It was reported...
Oh, that's not a thing that you're supposed to pronounce.
Well, that's fine. So it is just reading out the letters and the number.
Yeah.
Okay. I see four. It's like, that's
flammable.
Explosive. It says that it was revealed that the Pentagon, as of April 2021, had at least 685 AI projects in progress, including some for major weapon systems. And that sounds like a description for killer robots, but the details from the Government Accountability Office report were not disclosed. Instead, Groen seemed to downplay the research and development. One could be lulled into complacency thinking that Tesla, the leader in developing autonomous autos, is still a long way from producing one, although a few test models may have killed a few people. But military weapons are not cars, and the market for killer robots is far larger at the moment than the market for driverless cars. Not to mention that governments and militaries aren't restricted by high prices. In another downplaying remark, Groen said, quote, implementation in the department, of course, is always a challenge as new technology meets legacy processes, legacy organizations, and legacy technology, end quote. In other words, they're trying to overcome the older people's ways of thinking, is what that means.
Loves it.
Should we really believe that the military is resisting replacing flesh and blood, boots on the ground carrying rifles whose recruitment numbers continue to dwindle with good cause
wonder.
with autonomous killer robots?
Yes.
Or that there are rules, thought processes, and organizational processes which have to be reevaluated through the lens of artificial intelligence and data. C4ISRNET.com reports that in February, the Pentagon's Chief Digital and AI Office, the CDOA, opened its doors but is not fully operational at this time. And then there's a random quote here. And Mr. Seaburn didn't tell me
by,
who
Mr.
gave
Seaburn?
this quote.
That's called theft.
No, it's not. He's got it. He just, within the mishmash of the article, he has there's these little gray boxes that have quotes in them, but it's not clear as to who said what.
You are supposed to cite your sources when you quote it.
He did, but
Not
it's
right
just,
there.
Well, anybody can go to the article, go to the link for the article, and see if it's just me being obtuse in some way, which I very much can be. Mm-hmm. But for me, it's kind of confusing who said what. Anyhow, random person quoted. I would say that one of the things about the approach of the United States to the role of AI and autonomous systems has been imaging these systems as a way to enhance the warfighter. It's why, dating back a couple of administrations, the United States has talked about things like human-machine teaming, because it tends to think about AI and autonomous systems as things that work synergistically with the best trained military in the world to improve its capacity, end quote.
Wow.
Well, that's the ultimate soldier thing, and they've been trying to do that. I mean, movies, and it's like, does art imitate life? You know?
I think it's more so. I think it could be vice versa.
I think a lot of times
Art
it can
imitates
be.
life, and life imitates art.
Well, I think there's a lot of things that sci-fi from the 50s and 60s that were, maybe it sparked an idea in somebody that later actually developed these things.
I mean, think, a lot of the computers that you saw in those early sci-fi stuff, those things actually were invented.
Right.
And they were just as large. They took up entire
Buildings.
rooms.
Mm-hmm. Well, Star Trek with the communicators.
Yeah.
Was that not an early cell phone?
Yeah, it was an early version of FaceTime and Zoom.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even think that they had all that. It was just, he opened it up. Beam me up, Scotty.
They had the idea.
Yeah.
So.
And there's just a lot of stuff that could have inspired many. Mm-hmm. Michael Horowitz, DoD director, that is Department of Defense, of Emerging Capabilities Policy, in a discussion with Breaking Defense about the campaign to stop killer robots and other resistance movements, seems to imply that the Pentagon is focused on AI military robots which have a human involved and do not work autonomously. And you said we actually did try this last night, and it was a disaster. But what was it? Transformers? Was that the one where they had humans driving the robots?
No, that was
the other thing.
Well, that could be like Power Rangers or something else.
There was something. It wasn't really Power Rangers. They may have done that, but there was another show, movie, whatever it was, where you had these huge robots. And you had a person that was in there.
I mean,
with the controls.
There's been so many.
Right.
Like, for example, in Alien, where she sat in that weird thing that had the claw hands.
Right.
And she fought the alien with it.
Right. So who knows which one came first on that one. It says that that seems to be the robots and the humans working together. That seems to be a wink, wink comment which ignore autonomous drones already in operation. It's worth noting that Horowitz's office, like the CDOA, was only recently established, so it seems the Pentagon has had years to develop killer robots with no official oversight. it doesn't matter. There was no oversight on any of this stuff. They do whatever they damn well please.
Yeah.
You know?
Also, that thing with, like, someone being in it, you could also say that was what Plankton was doing with Mr. Krabs' robot.
So, yeah, sort of. It very much was.
Ravioli, ravioli, give me the formioli. Yeah.
So, are we to believe that the Pentagon or whatever did not take advantage of no official oversight? Well, you know they do.
Yeah.
It says that, finally, Groen points out that the sutural change inside the Pentagon concerning AI is more about sharing data between departments, the military service branches, and across the entire DoD enterprise. Right. I believe that. And then Mr. Seaburn says, does that include the American public? Wink, wink.
Yes.
They ain't telling us shit. They have never told us anything that they're doing. It's like the regular citizens are the expendable ones. So, the military-industrial complex, which Eisenhower warned of many years ago, and that they are not accountable to anyone. And we've got several organizations right now that apparently are accountable to no one, and that includes these people that are supposedly elected.
Yeah.
And then it's like we have had these mega corporations that have gone and testified in front of these people, have perjured themselves,
Right.
and no one does anything except get frustrated and blackpilled.
No one does shit because, one, they're scared to.
Yeah.
Two, they don't even know how to start.
Well, and is it a matter that
So-
the public has become so, what's the word I'm looking?
Indoctrinated?
Yes, exactly. And conditioned to do nothing.
Yeah.
It's like we were talking the other day about, and I never did go and look up which scientist it was, that the dog in the shock box. And I keep wanting to say that was... I think that was
torture.
Maslow. Of course it was. I think it was Maslow that did that. And he did horrible things to small primates. But they put the dog in this electrified cage, and that they would, send electrical shocks into the bottom of the cage.
Mm-hmm.
And after so long, the dog just got to where it sat in the back of the cage and whimpered and shook, even after the shocks were no longer being administered, because it was a matter of conditioning them.
Yeah.
And that was just like, the dog salivating. I'm sure that you've heard about that one. That they would ring the bell right before that they fed the dog.
Oh, yeah.
Now, see, that one wasn't horrible.
No. That's just...
And that after...
that just means it's milk, like food time.
Right. And then after a certain point in time, they could ring the bell, and even without food, the dog would begin to salivate. I think they're doing some of this stuff with the humans.
Actually, that can happen when you're just being like, food.
Yeah. Sure. But I think that's part of the reason that some of the things are not being done. We also understand that if certain things are done, then that's going to start a domino effect, which is not going to be good. I think that, speaking about the AI and stuff, there's one of the people that I listen to on podcast live stream, actually, is what it is, that discusses about digital warfare. And
Right.
that is, and I think that's those of us that are Gen X and above, we are used to boots on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a new playing field right now.
Yeah.
And memes are remarkably effective.
Yeah. I found out what this newer gen is called.
Which ones?
Like the newest one.
Okay.
Gen Alpha. That's what they're called.
Okay. Might be Omega. That may be the last. I don't know. And what age group are they?
Oh, they're the young ones. Like the really young ones.
They're the ones that's after Gen Z.
Yeah.
These kids that are Gen Z, my God. And it's like, can you imagine these other ones that have grown up in what has been happening over the past few years?
Mm-hmm. Screwed us up.
Oh, not you. You were already beyond that. And
I was already beyond screwed up.
no, well, no. It's like we were discussing, and this sort of goes in with the weaponization, but doesn't have anything really to do with AI, and how children, especially when they're small children, how they learn to communicate is not just by the words that are said, but also as far as facial expressions, different, mouth movement, all those things, and that has been taken away from a tremendous amount of kids. So that's going to, that's going to cause some arrested development.
Yeah.
That's going to cause some, attachment issues. And God knows what else. This has been it is a huge worldwide experiment.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, yeah. And it's crazy.
Dear God.
Absolutely, dear God. But do I believe that they've got killer robots? Absolutely. They've already got those
Killer robots from outer space.
Those dog robot things.
Mm-hmm.
And you can imagine what those things would be like if they got after a person.
You can literally just kick them over.
Yeah, but not if they've got some kind of weapon attached to them.
Now that's true, yeah. I mean, they've already done that, though. They've already done tests with those things, with the guns, like, oh God, what are they called? Turrets?
If someone would like to gift me
Turrets
with a flamethrower, that would be great.
One of the good ones.
Yeah.
A can of hairspray and a lighter.
You wouldn't have time to light it on something like that. But you've got to wonder, all right, if something like that is developed, how would you fight against it?
Yeah, who knows?
Right.
What happens if you throw water on them?
Well, more than likely they're going to try to make them waterproof. So I'm sure somebody has already thought about that. So I'm thinking like
glue,
either electricity or fire or,
Just the cable across the yard with a little slit in it.
Yeah,
Step on it.
Some of the ways to disarm robots.
Loves it. Put some water with some electricity in it.
Well, frequencies. You wonder if there are certain frequencies that could disrupt, hell, they do it on humans and their brains, so why couldn't you do it on a...
Didgeridoo on concert speakers. There you go.
Maybe. For real, it'll kill a goldfish.
Ask you how you know.
On one of those little round balls. I had no clue that would do that. I had no clue. And it's like, oh my God, that poor little fish. I would have never done that intentionally, ever.
It was a one-time thing.
It was. So, anyhow.
How could this happen to me? I've made my mistake.
Oh, it was sad.
Got nowhere to run. Life goes on.
So, yeah. Do you believe the Department of Defense? Do you believe the military?
Who believes the military
Do you believe that they do not already have killer robots?
Who genuinely believes the government at this point?
There are actually some people that are so brainwashed. That's just like the talking heads in the boxes. They believe that whatever anybody says is true, as evidenced by mimicry. How many times will somebody see something? Absolutely. How many times will somebody see something on TikTok or whatever it is, and the next thing they're, doing the same.
Trends are for the anxious.
They are. And for people who still have that frontal lobe shrinkage going on. Yeah.
It's like you put a doll head in acetone and it just shrinks.
Mm-hmm.
It blows up first.
This is your brain.
And then it shrinks down.
This is your brain on drugs. This is your brain on TikTok.
This is your brain when you're chronically online.
Yeah. Because it is preventing people from learning how to have not only rational thought, but learning how to think
Yeah.
to having deep thought about something. You know, becoming very introspective and yeah, character building and all that, which is why you've got all these twits running around that have all the depth of a sheet of paper.
Shallow.
Which
Shallow.
has a tendency, those of us that are older, to make us cringe and withdraw further from society.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just me.
No, it makes some of us cringe too.
So, but you indulge in it. You watch it. You encourage it.
I don't encourage it. I'm just an onlurker.
I am a non-participant.
Lurker.
No, I don't even lurk on that. So, anything else you want to, share about the robots?
We got it on sale.
We did.
It was the only one left.
We did. We found Robbie on sale,
and he works well. Cool. He's really cool.
Yeah. So, is that it?
Yeah.
If you've had experiences with paranormal, supernatural encounters with UFOs, aliens, cryptids, let us know what you think about the government developing killer robots and other AI to use against the general populace.
Yeah.
If you have local, regional, or family myths or legends, send us an email, cupofcoffeewithscream@gmail.com, and the email address is there in the description box also. Know that you're loved.
Mm-hmm.
Know that God created you to where you are an autonomous being, that you are not a robot. You have free will.
Well, at least robots don't have to deal with sinus issues.
True. They don't have noses that work, but then they can't smell. They can't.
Neither
smell.
can I right now. If you like this video, don't forget to like, share, comment, and most of all, subscribe and click that notification button for daily notifications of our daily uploads. Thank you all. Have a good... Don't eat the wires.
Don't eat the
Don't eat the gears.
Oh God, stay away from the wires that are broken. We'll see you on the next cup.
Don't
Bye.
chew on them. Don't let your cats chew on them.